In the lower part of the eastern Nigeria would be found the single villages of the Igbo, the Aninta, Umwazu, Ikioka, Elumelu, Abame, Mbino, Mbanta, and the Umofia. But among these, Umofia stood proud. Umofia was feared by all its neighbors. It was powerful, and Umofia's reputation rested on its sons, sons who were brave and dauntless, and sons who have called Umofia their fatherland. And Okonko was such a man. Okonko was well known throughout the 9 villages and even beyond. He was tall and huge, and his bushy eyebrows and wide nose gave him a very severe look. He always looked as if he was ready to pounce on someone. He was quick-tempered and was easily enraged. After all, he was identified as Okonko, the Roaring Fire. He had fame and power, wealth and possessions. He possessed 3 wives, and he had 8 children, roofed in his own large compound and fended through his 2 barns, which Okonko tolerantly built all by himself. Okonko ruled his household with a heavy hand. His wives lived in perpetual fear of his fiery temper, and so did his little children, especially his first wife's son, Noe, whom Okonko wanted to be a great man. Perhaps down in his heart, Okonko was not a cruel man, but his whole life was dominated by fear, the fear of failure and weakness. It was not external, but lay deep within himself. It was the fear of himself, lest he should be found to resemble his father. Unoka, for that was his father's name, had died 10 years ago. He was a failure. He was poor, and his wife and children had barely enough to eat. People laughed at him because he was a loafer and a coward. And when Unoka died, he had taken no title at all, and he was heavily in debt. Any wonder then that his son Okonko was ashamed of him? And so, from then on, Okonko ruled by one passion and one passion only. That is, to hate everything that his father Unoka had loved. One of those things was idleness, and the other was gentleness. He viewed them as weaknesses in being feminine. Fortunately, among Igbo people, a man was judged according to his worth, and not according to the worth of his father. For if ever a man deserved his success, that man was Okonko. As the elder said, if a child washed his hands, he could eat with kings. Okonko had clearly washed his hands, and so he ate with the kings and the elders. Every man of Umofia gathered at the marketplace next morning. Okonko tried to figure out the nature of the emergency. War with the neighboring clan, he thought. And he was not afraid of war. He was a man of action, a man of war, unlike his father. At last, the orator stood up in the midst of them.
Those sons of Mbino have dared to murder a daughter of Umuofia. As an ultimatum to those wild animals of Mbino, let them choose between war, or on the other hand, let them offer a young man and a virgin as a compensation.
Neighboring clans were surely afraid of Umofia, and would not go to war against it without first trying a peaceful settlement. And so, they accepted the settlement Umofia had given, rather than to go into war with them. They sent out a virgin and a lad named Ikemefuna. As for the boy himself, he was terribly afraid.
What is going on? Why are they speaking in low tones? I cannot hear a single word. Why is mother weeping? Where are they taking me? Are father and mother coming with us? No! Who are these men? Perhaps they are from another tribe. Are they bringing me with them? Why?
And so, Ikemefuna was brought a long, long way from home to Umuofia. The sad story is still told in Umuofia unto this day. The elders of the clan decided that Ikemefuna should be in Okonko's care for a while, but no one thought it would be as long as 3 years. At first, Ikemefuna was very much afraid, but Noah's mother treated him as one of her own children, and Ikemefuna had begun to feel like a member of Okonko's family. Noe and Ikemefuna became deeply attached to each other. Ikemefuna was a very lively boy, and gradually he became popular in Okonko's household. He seemed to know everything from flutes to birds to trees. Even Okonko himself became very fond of the boy. Inwardly, of course. To show affection was a sign of weakness. He therefore treated Ikemefuna as he treated everybody else, with a heavy hand. But there's no doubt, he liked the boy. Okonko sat in his opi, eating happily with Noe and Ikemefuna, when Ezudu came in.
Brother, come sit and join us in our dinner. Let me pour you some palm wine.
No, brother. Let us drink another time. Let us talk outside.
What is the matter, my brother?
That boy calls you father. Do not bear hand in his death. Yes, Umuofia has decided to kill him. The oracle of the hills and the caves has pronounced it. They will take him outside Umuofia and kill him there. But I want you to have nothing to do with it. He calls you his father.
Umuofia would surely not wage into war, nor decide fully without the blessing of their oracle, the oracle of the hills and the caves, which was interpreted by its priestess Chelo. They believed that the oracle spoke for deities, and they believed that no one should go against spirits and deities. And so, after 2 days, a group of elders came to Okonko's house. Okonko got ready quickly with Ikemefuna. A deathly silence descended on Okonko's compound. Throughout the day, Noe sat in his mother's hut, and tears stood in his eyes. Something had given way inside him.
Father told me I am going home today, but that home is too faint now, too distant. Will they recognize me? Yet I am sure that my mother and my sister would be very glad to see us. I am sure they would even thank Okonko for having looked after me so well and bringing me back. And I would tell mother stories about Moye and his mother. I would truly miss them a lot. But am I truly going home? Well, father had said so.
They are now at the outskirts of Umuofia. Everything was silent. Men of Umuofia pursued their way, armed with machetes. As a man raised his machete, Okonko looked away. He heard the blow!
My father! They have killed me!
Yes, Okonko drew his machete and cut him down. He was afraid of being thought weak. Okonko did not taste any food for 2 days after the death of Ikemefuna. He drank palm wine from morning till night, and his eyes were very red. He did not sleep at night. He tried not to think of Ikemefuna, but the more he tried, the more he thought about him. Now and then, a cold shiver descended on his head and spread down his body.
Umofia, the land of the brave! Umofia, the land of the brave! Umofia, the land of the brave! Ezudo is dead.
Esudu was a great man. He was the oldest in the village and has 3 titles. He was given a warrior's funeral. Even the Igwugus have come to visit his funeral. As Umufians believed, the land of the living was not far removed from the domain of the ancestors. Thus, the Igwugus, or the ancestor spirits, were coming and going between them, especially at funerals and also when an old man died. They were completely covered in raffia. But even the women noticed that Igwugus are not real spirits. After all, they noticed one Igwugu walking exactly like Okonko. But no one dared to question it. They were the ancestors, after all. It was Esudu's 16-year-old son. Okonko had committed a female crime. Okonko's gun had exploded and a piece of iron had pierced the boy's heart. It was a female crime because it had been unintentional. He should flee from the clan and return after 7 years to protect their village's strong and peaceful relations. Over a period of 7 years, anger and resentment would be gone. Okonko was well received by his mother's kinsmen in Mbanta. He was received by Uchendu, his mother's younger brother. He was given a ground to build his compound and 3 pieces of land to farm. Okonko and his family worked very hard to plant a new farm. But his vigor was gone. All his life, Okonko wanted to become one of the lords of the clan, and he had all achieved it. Then, everything had been broken. He had been cast out of his father's clan. Uchendu saw clearly that Okonko had despaired. Thus, he called together his sons and his nephew, Okonko.
I am an old man and you are all children. I know more about the world than any one of you. Listen to me. Why is Okonko with us today? This is not his clan. We are only his mother's kinsman. It's true that a child belongs to its father. But when a father beats his child, it seeks sympathy in its mother's heart. A man belongs to his fatherland when things are good. But when there is bitterness, he finds refuge in his motherland. Is it right that you, Okonko, should bring a heavy face to your mother and refuse to be comforted? Be careful and you may be displeased at it. Your duty is to comfort your wives and children and take them back to your fatherland after 7 years. This is now your kinsman. For whom is it well? For whom is it well? There is no one for whom it is well.
After some peaceful years in Mbanta, there were an occurrence that caused a stir in the village. The arrival of 6 missionaries, and one of them was a white man. When they had all gathered, the white man began to speak to them, and he told them, through his interpreter, Mr. Kiyaga, about this new God, the creator of all the world and all the men and women. He told them that they worshipped false gods, gods of wood and stone.
We have been sent by this great God to ask you to leave your wicked ways and false gods and turn to Him so that you may be saved.
Which is this God of yours? The goddess of the earth, The god of the sky? Ambadiora or the thunderbolt? Or what?
All the gods you have named are not gods at all. They are gods of deceit, who tell you to kill your fellows and innocent children. There is only one true God, and He has the earth, the sky, you and me, and all of us.
If we leave our gods and follow your God, who will protect us from the anger of our neglected gods and ancestors?
Your gods are not alive, and cannot do you any harm. They are pieces of wood and stone.
At the end of it, Okonko was fully convinced that the man was mad. But Noe had been captivated. The hymn about brothers who sat in darkness and in fear seemed to answer those questions that haunted his soul. The question of the twin killing and the question of Ikemefuna who was killed. He felt a relief within the hymn. And so are the other people of Mbanta. They started to believe in this new religion. Women who had previously born twins, and nearly all the Osu or outcasts in Mbanta also followed them. Christianity begins to quench their thirst for answers that their own religion has not been able to provide to them.
For God there is no slave or free. We are all children of God, and we must receive all our brothers.
How could such men be followers of Christ?
He needs Christ more than you and I.
Mr. Kiyaga stood firm, and the convert drew inspiration and confidence from his unshakable faith. It was also well known among the people of Mbanta that their gods were sometimes long-suffering to allow a man to go on defying them. They thought that after 28 days, those missionaries would die. But they were still alive. Gradually, the missionaries' church had seen increase in converts. Many had believed that the Christian God is more powerful than their own. And one of those converts was Noe, Okonko's first son.
Where have you been? Answer me before I kill you! Leave that boy at once! Are you mad?
And so, Noe went away from his family, from his father, whom he feared all his life. He walked away and never returned. He became a missionary and was sent to Umuofia to teach young Christians. As for Okonko, he sat in his hut at night, gazing into a log fire, sighing heavily. Truly, living fire begets cold, impotent ash. He sighed again, deeply. 7 years had passed, and Okonko would be returning now to Umuofia, his fatherland. But Okonko knew that 7 years was a long time, and a man's place was not always there, waiting for him. He knew that he had lost his place among his clan. He had also lost the chance to lead his warlike clan against the new religion, which, he was told, had gained ground. It was due to Mr. Brown, the white missionary, who was very kind. He made friends with some of the great men of the clan, and he was treated with dignity and rank. He would spend time talking to elders through an interpreter, and from these they learned more about their different beliefs. In this way, Mr. Brown learned a good deal about the religion of the clan.
You said one interesting thing. You're afraid of Chokwu, your supreme god. In my religion, Chokwu is a loving father and not be feared by those who do his will.
But we must fear him when we are not doing his will. And who is to tell his will? It is too great to be known.
In this way, Mr. Brown knew that a frontal attack would not succeed, and so he built a school and a little hospital in Umuofia. He had also built a trading store, and much money flowed into Umuofia. But with those great improvements came strange things too. White men imposed a new court, which they called the Native Court, where a white district commissioner was ruling. Perhaps they did not know that Umuofia has their own laws. He was surrounded by strangers who came from the distant town of Umuru, where the white men first went. They put in prisons men who opposed them. They even hanged a man who killed a white missionary. Thus, Umuofia did not appear to have taken any special notice of Okonko's return. The clan had undergone such profound change during his exile that it was barely recognizable. Okonko was deeply grieved. He mourned for the clan, which he saw breaking up and falling apart, and he mourned for the warlike men of Umuofia, who had so become soft like women. When Okonko returned, Mr. Brown was no longer living in Umuofia. He had been replaced by the Reverend James Smith, and he was a different kind of man. He saw the world as a battlefield in which the children of light were in mortal conflict with the sons of darkness, and so he believed in imposing the village to leave their gods. He believed in slaying the prophets of Baal. Truly, those two white missionaries also had their differences. And for the first time in many years, Okonko had a feeling of happiness. He was a personal happiness indeed. When one of the new religion's converts murdered an Igugwo, his clansmen listened to him with respect. It was like the good old days, when a warrior was a warrior. They had destroyed the church of the Christians. Upon knowing this, the district commissioner invited the leaders of Umuofia in his headquarters, and so the 6 men went to see him.
I have asked you to come because of what happened. Let us talk about it like friends and find a way of ensuring that it does not happen again. But I also want to bring in my men so that they too can hear your grievances. We shall not do you any harm. If only you agree to cooperate with us. We have brought a peaceful administration to you and your people. We have a court of law where we judge cases and administer justice, as it is done in my own country under a great queen. I have decided that you will pay a fine of 200 bags of cowries. You will be released as soon as you agree to this and collect that fine from your people.
We should have killed the white man if you had listened to me.
Who wants to kill the white man? We're not satisfied with your crime, but you also want to kill the white man? You're such a wicked man, Okonko!
Okonko was choked with hate of his own brothers.
There would be a meeting held in the marketplace tomorrow morning. Everyone should be there. Everyone should attend. This is a great gathering. We who are here this morning have remained true to our fathers, but our brothers have deserted us and joined a stranger. If we fight the stranger, we shall hit our brothers and perhaps shed the blood of a brother. But we must do it. Our fathers never killed their brothers. But the white man never came to that. So we must do what our fathers would never have done.
What is going on here? Let me pass. The white man whose power you know too well has ordered this meeting to stop. All of you paupers, go home and...
Okonko, upon seeing his brothers letting go of the other messengers, now know the bitter truth. No one would dare fight with him. No one would dare fight this white man. He now knew that Umuofia is not the same as before, on where he prospered and built his dreams on. Unlike the old glory days, he was defeated. he now knew that this war was over even before it started.
Which among you is a conqueror?
He's not here.
Where is he?
Perhaps your men could help us.
Why don't you take him down yourselves?
It is against our custom. It is evil for a man to take his own life. A man who commits suicide will not be buried by his clansmen. His body is evil, and only strangers may touch it. That is why we ask your people to bring him down, because you are strangers.
That man was of the greatest men in Mofia. You drove him to kill himself, and now he will be buried like a dog?
Shut up! Take down the body, and bring it and all these people to the court.
And so the commissioner went away. As he walked back to the court, he thought about the book that he wanted to write. The story of this man who had killed a messenger and then hanged himself would make an interesting reading. This story could almost be a whole paragraph in his book, he thought. The story of a gruntling, cultureless savage. He had already chosen the title of the book, after much thought. It is called The Pacification of the Primitive Tribes of the Lower Nigger. Truly, those white men thought too low and knew too little of them. Perhaps that is why Okonkwo killed himself. The Omofian order, which he poured his whole life in, pursuing recognition and respect, and had vainly done well, had fallen apart by the hands of those white men.
Jumbo where you are, 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 Jumbo